everyone, my name is If, and in my video today, I'll be talking about the Legend of Mothman and how he helped the economy of a small town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia. I will also discuss how this Appalachia town is so rich with history, but only got its notoriety after the alleged appearance of the famed winged cryptid. The state of West Virginia itself is unique because it is the only state whose borders falls entirely within the federally defined Appalachia. This term refers to the geographical divide between the eastern seaboard of the United States and the Midwest region of the country. It is specifically a region located in the central and southern sections of the Appalachian Mountains. This area is no strangers to legends due to the deep, dark, and damp forest that encompasses the area. The town of Point Pleasant specifically played an important part in America's history and founding. Point Pleasant was a vital settlement because of the town situated on a confluence of the Ohio and Kanawha rivers. In the article by Cora P. Teal, she provides a detailed history of Point Pleasant. It states that the first recorded history was in 1749, when the area was claimed by the French explorer, who simply left a lead plaque in the area claiming it for France. In 1770, George Washington and his survey party had plans to make the area a proposed 14th colony. They called this newfound area Vandalia, with Point Pleasant as the capital. The colony did not happen because of the rising tensions between the American colonists and the British government, setting the stage for the Revolutionary War. The Battle of Point Pleasant took place on October 10, 1774, between the Virginia militia and the Shawnee, led by Chief Cornstalk. Even though the militia won the battle, the Shawnee would not side with the British. When the British asked the Shawnee to help them in their fight, the Shawnee declined and went to tell the settlers. Instead of making an alliance with the Shawnee, the settlers chose to take Cornstalk captive and later kill him. The death of this proud chief is believed by some to be a catalyst of the tragedies and strange phenomenon to befall in Point Pleasant. Some historians also state that Point Pleasant was the first battle of the Revolutionary War, but that's still up for debate. Since its early beginnings, the two rivers of Point Pleasant made the town a vital location. River transportation and boat building influenced the economy through the 19th century. Point Pleasant was known for its river industry, coal-fired power plants, chemical production, and manufacturing. The 20th century, Point Pleasant, like many eastern towns, found success in these industries with their rich land. But by the end of the 20th century, West Virginia faced ongoing struggles due to its geographical limitations, as well as its fluctuation in the manufacturing industry. Today, Point Pleasant has a population of fewer than 5,000 people. It was never meant to be a tourist destination. So, you gotta ask yourself, would it still be on the map? Would the town have survived the continuing economic decline in the 21st century? What made this big change for the town? And how is it still here today? So, let's look back on November 1966 and how it changed the town forever. The local newspaper, Point Pleasant Register, reported on November 16, 1966, with the bold headline, "Couple see man-sized bird, creature, something." This article described how on November 15, 1966, 4 teenagers, Roger and Linda Scarberry and Stephen Mary Mallet, were the first to report the sighting of a creature. It described in detail how they went for a late-night drive through Point Pleasant's TNT area, described in Claire O'Neill's article as an abandoned 800-acre ammunition facility for World War II. The teens found a dark figure walking towards one of the old factories. Afraid of what they saw, they decided to drive back towards town, but found that the creature was following them, keeping up with them. They recalled reaching up to speeds to 100 miles per hour. They described what they saw as a 6 feet, 7 feet tall, having a wingspan of 10 feet, and red eyes about 2 inches in diameter and 6 inches apart. They hesitated to tell the police in fear that no one would believe them. So to confirm with what they saw, they went back to find the creature again. Encountering it once more, they went to the sheriff's office to make the report. The thing that captivated the town was that the teens swore that they were not under any influences or drugs or alcohol when they told their stories separately. They were all the same, giving the story authenticity. Once the local paper came out about the teen sightings, people all over Point Pleasant started talking about this creature, and more sightings were being reported. These additional sightings reported images of a large bird or bat humanoid figure. Due to the popularity of Batman at the time, the book was played on the name by coining their own legend by naming it Mothman. Many people claimed to have seen the creature and reported getting sick or physically damaged from the sightings. Once people caught wind of these strange phenomenons, looky-loos all around the country wanted to see these bizarre events, which was explained in David Clark's article as a legend trip. The legend trip is when people come together to further the legend and create content. One of these people who did the legend trip was a journalist named John Keel. Keel proclaimed to be a foredemonist, a person who focuses on paranormal and unexpected phenomena. Keel's legend trip will play a significant role in the future of the town and the legend because he collected a lot of people's experiences and encounters for the future book that would further impact the fate of Point Pleasant. The sightings mysteriously came to a screeching halt on December 15, 1967. On the website for the West Virginia Department of Transportation, it states that the 2,200-foot silver bridge spanning the Ohio River and connecting Point Pleasant to Ohio collapsed, killing 46 people. This was the deadliest bridge disaster in modern history. This tragedy led to the federal regulations on the inspection of bridges and better safety throughout the United States. Oddly enough, the Mothman sightings ended after the collapse and disaster of the Silver Bridge. Jody Brimage stated that 2 years after the collapse, they reconstructed a new bridge, naming it Silver Memorial Bridge, and is still in use today. Keel's book, Mothman Prophecies, was released 8 years after the bridge collapse and created an uproar due to its portrayal of Mothman predicting the bridge's collapse. The book was adapted into a movie with the same name in 2002. This heightened the knowledge of the popularity of the legend more than the vast history of the region or the significant bridge tragedy. But it did create a surge of tourism in the town, and people created songs, and a local man named Jeff Wemsley created a festival and a museum to capitalize on the popularity. The Silver Bridge tragedy is only memorialized with a small plaque in a park by the water, but a massive statue in the center of town dedicated to Mothman. This statue is strategically designed for tourism. An essay by Jack Daly explained this best by saying, "The plaque is meant to remember. The statue is meant to draw people in and further folklorize the actual events, and it is a continuation of narrative hijacking." With the folklorization of the Silver Bridge collapse, a rift was formed that caused people to love or hate the tourism Mothman created in the town. The townspeople who are against Mothman's tourism thinks it ignores Point Pleasant history or puts it in a bad light. Jack Daly expresses his point in his essay by stating that people like Keel jump on the situation and run with the Mothman story, his 40-year lens, obscuring his view of the events. 8 years later, he published Mothman Prophecies, which made the story of Mothman even more popular, while diminishing the lives lost in the Silver Bridge disaster. Jack Daly later states in his article that Keel could have made the tragedy more prevalent by even doing something as simple as changing the name of the book to Silver Bridge Prophecies. This would have given more respectful connection to the bridge. In general, many people don't like the connection of the legend with the bridge, and some people just don't like the legend itself. Needless to say, some people find the festival very insulting to the town's history and tragedies. In the same essay, Jack Daly states Point Pleasant is a unique case study in this regard, as the bridge disaster left it literally disconnected from a good deal of its economic origins, as those who would have come to the town from across the Ohio River were no longer able to. Furthermore, researchers have noted how small towns such as Point Pleasant were vulnerable due to a larger market forces causing trends such as population decline and thus a weakened economy. I think the clearest example to show the change of focus from the bridge tragedy was expressed in the same essay in Daly's comparison of the song The Silver Bridge Disaster by Ray Anderson and Mothman by Michael Fisher and Jason Jarrett. He discussed how the first song was released in 1967, soon after the collapse. This song was created to help cope with the loss and conveyed the emotion of the devastated community. The song has undertones of religious themes, expressing the hope that the people they lost safely crossed the other side. On the flip side, Fisher and Jarrett wrote a song almost 50 years later called simply Mothman. It was created solely to capitalize on the legend itself and promoted the town's initiative to increase tourism driven by the creature. The song also points out that Chief Cornstalk may be coming back as a ghost and other crazy things. The two songs show the change of perspectives and how the townspeople mindset have altered within those 50 years. But maybe the change of perspective is what the town needed. That's why, on the other side, strong local leaders have been able to fuel the town's economy and bring more appreciation to the community. They used the publicity of the popular book and namesake movie, Mothman Prophecies, to increase tourism. Quoting the paper by Robert Cruz, the film and festival, the museum, and the tours all contribute to the Mothman landscape of Point Pleasant. These town people do not ignore their past and even embrace it because they know people will come for Mothman, so they try to incorporate their history into the tours and attractions. They also invite people to come and expose the town through film and documentaries and writings, giving Point Pleasant free advertising and even more recognition. And their plan must be working because the news article by Sam DeCoste, he states that Mothman Festival has been successful, and in 2022, the town profited nearly $2 million from the one festival and had a large crowd in 2023 with an estimate of 15,000 visitors for the weekend celebration. Mothman still fascinates people today, as evidenced by the many podcasts and YouTube videos talking about the creature. These types of media give Point Pleasant and the legend potentially newer and larger audiences, hitting different generations from all over the world. For example, the podcast I used for my research, The Red Thread, emphasizes my opinion, which is that Mothman is an interesting legend, but the truly fascinating element is how the town has used the legend to their advantage. You can appreciate the hard work the town has done to get their name out there and to keep Mothman relevant. The tourism efforts by the town has brought more people and information so that they no longer need to worry about the book and movie's fame and misinformation. The town now creating a narrative of its history. The goal is to ensure tourists come to see Mothman, but leave appreciating the beauty of the town throughout its rich history of indigenous people, America's beginning, manufacturing booms, World War II, and the decline of the industrial areas. In my opinion, you leave the town with a greater appreciation for how one small town overcame difficulty in a declining manufacturing economy to literally rise itself up financially on the wings of Mothman. Should you find yourself deep in the woods of the Appalachians on your next road trip, definitely make a detour or make a day trip out of it, or even just take a vacation to West Virginia's town called Point Pleasant. You won't regret it. Just remember to appreciate the town, respect the complex history this geographical wonder holds. Enjoy the simplicity and quiet of West Virginia Appalachian Mountains. And finally, enjoy the legend, which includes eating a delicious Mothman pizza. Thank you for watching.